My son Jerry and I are waiting across the road from a women's prison where my wife, Gwen, has been for the last 5 years, waiting to see who will be picking her up as she is released to the outside world and freedom. It most assuredly will not be us, after what my brother and she had put us through 6 years ago. The memory, still to this day, hurts and angers me. A little history would be appropriate at this point. I am David Porter, with my wife Gwen and our son Jerry. At this time, I was 39, Gwen was 42, and Jerry was 16. I was working for a security firm, designing and supervising home and business security systems. An offshoot of what I did in the service, setting security systems and maintaining them on flight lines and where things go boom, some of them were self-propelled. Push a button and off they would go. Up until then, I thought we had a happy marriage with a very satisfying love life. I guess for 17 years we did. My marriage did not start to go to hell until after I let my brother move in with us, at Gwen's urging. He was recently divorced and had just moved back into the area and needed a place to stay. I warned her that he has always been a con man and would treat this as a free ride for as long as he can get away with it. He always saw himself as a ladies' man and thought every woman was fair game. "Surely he would not pull that on me, your wife?" Gwen said. I replied, "He better not. I trust you, him not so much." I should have followed my gut instinct and not been swayed by Gwen, who always believed that friends and family deserved a chance. When he moved in, I let him know I expected him to be seriously looking for work. I was not going to support him. Get a job and find a place to stay. I would help all that I could to get him set up. Dwayne smiled. "I appreciate that, big brother. Don't worry. I'll get my life together." I really did not like his smile. Then I was working on an advanced security system for a high-rise townhome complex. This required many long hours, 12 to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. The bonus for completing the job on time was substantial, and ahead of time even better. The crew's incentive was guaranteed. Harder, more competent team could not be had for love or money. I was right with them, managing the work and getting my hands dirty right along with them. We completed the job in 3 months instead of 4 months. I had my boss paying regular hours on one account, with overtime and bonus money into a separate account. My boss accused me of being an incurable romantic, saving up for a cruise Gwen had always wanted to take. I wanted to be able to get a first-class cabin and fly to the port first class. My crew and I were given a week off with pay, as well as our bonus. My boss and the board of directors were very happy and impressed with our job. I also applied for a week's vacation to give me 2 weeks and was granted. I wanted some time to be alone with Gwen and to light a fire under Dwayne's back. He had gone from one job to another, either getting fired or quitting because of unfair treatment. Before my 2 weeks off, I had been getting a little warning voice in the back of my mind. Being home, I started noticing every time Dwayne talked with me, he had a perpetual smirk. Gwen and Dwayne started with little jokes, at my expense. Okay, it's all in good fun, right? Then it went from jokes to being told, "Go get your brother a beer." "It's your turn to clean the kitchen," she replied. Then getting very annoyed when I asked, "When is it going to be someone else's turn?" As a result, things got just a little frosty, like I was at fault for questioning the division of labor. Jerry and I were running to the local hardware store for some hardware for the cabinets. Jerry looked over at me while we were driving. "Dad, while you were working on that project, things got kind of weird." Dwayne and Mom started sitting closer together and giggling a lot. When I would walk into the room, they would stop talking. One day I came home and I heard noise from your bedroom, like the ones you and Mom used to make. When I asked Mom about it, Dwayne grabbed me and told me to keep my mouth shut because he would surely hate to put me in the hospital. Then he hit me in the ribs. "I would be joining you there," he told me. "When did this happen?" I asked. "Right before you finished that job. A few days ago, I heard Dwayne saying he would set you straight on who was in charge now." Mom just laughed. "You know you can mess with me all you want, but you don't threaten my son." Jerry looked at me as I pulled into a parking lot, shaking too much to drive. Dad, I have never seen you with that look on your face. You are scaring me. Son, you are not the one who needs to worry. My brother and your mother are going to see me otherwise. One I tried to forget. First, I will get the proof from my lawyer, then turn him loose on both of them. We will be elsewhere when the fecal matter hits the spinning blade. On Monday, I went to talk to my boss, Paul Maxwell, who hates cheaters and is a veteran himself. His wife divorced him while he was deployed in the sandbox. He told me to take the time I needed to take care of the situation. He sold me an audio-visual system linked to a central recorder with 4 recording drives, linked by Wi-Fi with a cloud backup. We installed the system one Saturday when I told the two lovers that I felt like I was coming down with a bad cold. Gwen and Dwayne were both insincerely sympathetic as they went to the barbecue at a friend's house on the other side of our little town. Once the system was installed, we checked its operation to be sure each drive was receiving 2 cameras in a split-screen mode. Next, a separate receiver keyed into our cell phones, every call recorded for posterity. Both of our laptops could be used to check and monitor the live feed or recorded data. After I consulted a lawyer and paid the retainer and gave him the cloud link to have the recordings on hand for the divorce. Then we made our plans. We were going to be absent for a few weeks when the divorce papers and restraining orders were served on Gwen and Dwayne. Jerry laid the groundwork to explain his absence from school, explaining that things were getting really bad at home. We packed up 2 small duffel bags and stashed them in the garage and bought an old beat-up truck to drive to a hunting fishing camp. We did not want either of our cars to be easily traced if they were reported stolen by my little soon-to-be ex-wife. The truck was parked at an old abandoned warehouse near the San Jacinto River. 2 days before we were going to make ourselves to be elsewhere, I came home to find the 2 lovers greeting me with smiles. Gwen apologized for being so difficult with me over the past months. Dwayne brought me a Foster's in a frosted mug, my favorite. I woke up strapped to a chair with Gwen glowering at me with a slap upside my head. I found the receipt for your lawyer. You are not going to divorce me, you bastard. This is how it is going to be. You will be bringing home the paycheck, moving into the spare bedroom as Dwayne moves into the bedroom. I replied, What makes you think I will go along with this? If you don't, I will make damn sure you never see your son again, Gwen said, grinning. You cheating woman. That's when Dwayne showed his alpha male self and started pounding me. As he hit me, he informed me that it was no way to talk to his woman, and he was going to teach me some manners, so that I understood that my position to him was to be subservient to him and obedient to Gwen. I don't remember much after I felt like my ribs were cracking. When he hit me in the stomach, I vomited on him and he went crazy. The next thing I remember was Jerry cutting zip ties from my wrists and feet. Dad, I came as soon as I could after I checked on my laptop. I waited until they went to sleep after tiring themselves out. I'm sorry I could not have been faster. Let's get you to a doctor. He drove me to a 24-hour clinic where I made the acquaintance of Dr. Goldfarb and his Selma LeBeau. While I was in X-ray, Jerry explained to the doctor what happened. Dr. Goldfarb just shook his head in disbelief, and he ordered additional blood tests. When I was returned to the examining room, the doctor came in to talk with me. Mr. Porter, you do realize that I will have to report this to the police. Aside from the injuries, cracked ribs, broken collarbone, there was a dangerous cocktail for drugs in the lab test. Dr. Goldfarb, can you hold off on the report until I can get myself mobile again? We need to get out of their reach before the police get involved. I will give you 24 hours before I send my report in. You should be mobile by then, he replied. 4 hours later, at about 9 a.m., the cheating woman and stain, as I now thought of them, arrived at the clinic angrily demanding to see me. Jerry was concerned until he heard Nurse Thelma tell them she did not know of anyone by that name at the clinic. Gwen was screaming, I know they are here. The cell phone tracking app shows they are here. Jerry and I looked at each other. We had not thought about the tracking app. Nurse Thelma replied, Let me check the logs. I just came on duty. She lied. Oh, right here. He was admitted last night. Good. Finally, I am here to take him and the brat home. That can't be done at this time. He is unconscious under sedation for his injuries. He was sedated so we could set his broken bones, she said with a straight face. Then I demand to see my husband. Immediately, my wife asked. No, for some reason you are explicitly not on the visitors list, as well as a Dwayne Porter. I cannot imagine why. Curious. That's when Dwayne stepped in and became threatening. And how are you going to stop us? The nurse just smiled. I won't. Security will, and in accordance with our protocol, the police are already on their way. Oh, look, there they are. Nurse Thelma came in. This is not the first time someone has come in and tried to be threatening. They will probably be released by this evening. Where were you planning to go? I called my Uncle Charles in Ville Platte, Louisiana. He has a place you can use if you like. Said he has never heard anything so screwed up. I thanked her. We had planned on going near the Davy Crockett National Forest. With all of this, it might be too close to what used to be our home. I accessed our savings and checking accounts and transferred all but $1,000 from both accounts to my savings account at a different bank. I would not be using it to go on a cruise with the cheating woman now. Thelma called to let us know that Gwen had been there to pick up her car. As we're transferring everything to the truck, Jerry asked me, "What are we going to do about them tracking us on our cell phones?" I grinned, even though that hurt along with everything else. Son, you are about to see just how much of an evil bastard I can be. We leave our cell phones here. If you make a small cut and smear your phone with blood, I will do the same with mine. I will hide my phone under the car seat, call 911 and call for help, then toss it in the grass near the river. My son, being the ham that he is, dialed 911. Help, please, no. Then he dropped his phone. We climbed into the truck and started our drive to Ville Platte. Gwen and Dwayne tracked our phones to the old factory and started looking for us, thinking we were hiding around the site. The county sheriff arrived and asked them to identify themselves. It was not long before more cars arrived in response to the call for backup. When my phone was found under the seat with fresh blood on it, the two cheaters were handcuffed and placed in separate cars as the search continued. Jerry's bloodied phone was found near the river. They were brought in for further questioning, where they met Detective Sinclair. Of course, they refused to talk without a lawyer present. In the presence of their lawyers, each was questioned separately. They did not like what they were told, even a little bit. Detective Sinclair sat across from Gwen and her lawyer and presented the facts to them. We found the number of your husband's lawyer on his phone, so we know he was going to divorce you due to your adultery. Gwen looking sweet and innocent. Why would he think that I betrayed him? I am so hurt and shocked. The detective replied, You know what your husband does for a living, right? Of course you do. Did you know he has the entire house wired for video and audio? His lawyer gave us the code for retrieving it all from cloud storage, and we are retrieving the discs from the recorders at your home, as well as the doctor's report from the clinic and the security tapes there. We know about the cheating and the drugging and assault that you and his brother committed. At the very least, you and your lover are looking at assault, unlawful imprisonment, drugging, and possibly murder. We have not found the bodies yet. The 911 recording from your son's cell phone, as well as finding his and your husband's bloodied cell phones. Do you have anything to say? Shocked and pale, Gwen looked up and replied, My lawyer has advised me not to answer any questions at this time. In a separate room, Dwayne was listening to the same set of facts being presented by another detective. The two of them were charged and booked on several charges, including assault, spousal abuse, unlawful imprisonment, and endangering a child. My son and I made our way to a little community just outside of Ville Platte, Louisiana. We were welcomed there by Granny Laura LeBeau. Just call me Granny, she said with an infectious grin. She then introduced us to Uncle Charles, who had a cabin that we could rent at a nominal price. Selma's kid sister, Sheila, seemed to take an interest in Jerry when Granny introduced her to us. As it turned out, they became very interested in each other. We settled in and watched as the trial date came up. The prosecuting attorney, on top of the assault, Unlawful imprisonment, drugging, and abuse added manslaughter to the list of charges. We decided that we would send a photo to the DA with a picture of the two of us with a copy of a recent copy of the Houston Chronicle picked up in New Orleans and mailed from Oklahoma, courtesy of a long-haul truck driver. We enclosed a statement that we left our phones behind so we could not be tracked by them again. By the end of the trial, both of them were being trashed online and in the news shows, especially on Fox. Gwen got 7 years, and Dwayne received 15 years. I went back to work installing security equipment and burglar alarms. Jerry studied and qualified for several IT certifications. Dwayne was quite popular in prison. He was treated slightly better than child molesters and rapists. Being a kind and caring brother, I arranged to have monthly gifts of preparation sent to him. I learned from our brother Anthony it really pissed him off at first. Gwen was welcomed into the group of women who were imprisoned for being part of human trafficking and prostitution. It seems she was able to master her oral skills. My son Jerry and I are waiting across the road from a women's prison where my wife Gwen has been for the last 5 years, waiting to see who will be picking her up as she is released to the outside world and freedom. It most assuredly will not be us, after what my brother and she had put us through 6 years ago. I am not as angry as I once was. With the help of a couple of mature ladies in boilerplate, restored my self-respect. 3 of them made it their purpose in life to prove that there were good women left in the world. We share a house together now. Whenever my stamina starts flagging, they bake me a persimmon pie. That and occasional blue pills work just fine. Jerry is there with the 2 sisters who latched on to him, with a 2-year-old daughter, a 5-year-old son, and a 6-month-old daughter. For some reason, he is stocking up on shotgun shells. Oh well, he will learn. Gwen is being picked up by her youngest sister as she walks to the car. A young woman who usually delivers divorce papers hands her an envelope with pictures of us and a note, and a bank account with $25,000 in it from the sale of our old home. "These are your grandchildren. Look across the road. That's where we are. That is as close as you will ever get to us again." She started to try to cross the road, but we were already climbing into our van and driving off. We never looked back. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.